Hello and welcome to Thursday's ITV7 Picks podcast, where me and Frankie are back again going through all of the 7 races on Thursday's ITV7 free-to-play game that sees 4 races from the third day of Glorious Goodwood, 2 from the Galway Festival, over the jumps again. We had Perth yesterday and we're over to Galway today, and we're also going to have a look at a race at Nottingham that completes the ITV7 for Thursday. £75,000 jackpot on offer for the second day running, Frankie. We're recording Wednesday morning ahead of Thursday. We had the first day of Glorious Goodwood yesterday. What was your big takeout from day one? It's probably, we were just talking off air, weren't we, about obviously the Goodwood Cup. That was probably the big race, the big talking point. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was a really bizarre race. Certainly to watch and be there as they were racing. I think if I'd have got any connection, I might have had a bet in play if it was any sort of price on the favourite, because once they got to halfway, I said that they're doomed here. Nobody can go after him. He's that far ahead. Nobody's going to want to, because you run the risk of your horse just blowing up a couple of furlongs out. But he's so far ahead. He didn't just nick a 10 lengths lead. He was 20, 25 lengths lead when they were coming down the back. And at that midpoint, I thought this is maybe game over for everyone. And it was. Hats off to Tom Marquand. He knew what the horse could do and he went and did it. Other jockeys probably will be kicking themselves in hindsight. But as I said, it's a real tough one. Once Tom had got that lead, they were kind of doomed either way. And I think they would have just been watching him, praying that he was coming back, but he didn't, and it was a really good performance by the horse. And yeah, it was probably not the most enjoyable Goodwood Cup to watch, especially for punters, but you've got to give credit to Tom and the horse to go and do that.
Yeah, he's done it before, hasn't he, Quickthorn? And I think you've got to look at it 2 ways, haven't you? You either think it's a brilliant ride by Tom Marquand, the horse was never stopping on the day and nothing would have got close to it, or it's the jockeys in behind it, giving all the other horses so much to do, that basically when he was flapping Quickthorn in the final stages, he was still moving, but he was still slowing down. He'd gone really hard for all of 2 miles. Having 20 lengths to catch up, he still got home and won very, very easily, didn't he, really, in the end, beating some very good horses. But anyway, that was day one. We've also recorded day 2, but now we're recording day 3. Which means there is 3 days still left on the ITV7 to get involved at Glorious Goodwood. If you want to get involved in the TWE League, TWE ITV7 is the code to join our league. The T's and C's are in the description below, so have a look. There's £100 first place cash prize if you finish top of the leaderboard. You can start on the 3rd day and still finish top of the leaderboard. That's the beauty of the ITV7. Not everyone's going to have a winner every day. Someone might have a better day than most, and you can still keep competitive. And ITV7 are offering £400,000 across the week in total jackpots. Like I said, for the 3rd day, it is £75,000 again, so another cracking jackpot to have a go at. And me and Frankie are now going to go through all the 7 races and try and help you along and find some winners. The first day, Frankie, few winners, few nice places. It's something nice to build on, isn't it? Going into.
Yes. When you've got 5 days ahead of you, it's good to get winners on the board day one. It takes the pressure off a bit. So hopefully we can continue.
Yeah, definitely. Right then, we're going to kick off day 3 at Glorious Goodwood then with the 150. It's the Coral Kinsum handicap over 1 mile and 2 furlongs. We've almost had a big handicap start off the day every day so far. And this looks another cracker. We have Perfuse at the top of the market at 3-1 for Ryan Moore and Sir Michael Stout, who will love the heavy ground, having won on it before. Garden Route, another one that looks a bit chucked in off his mark for William Haggis, who loves a plot job. Alsa Kib for Andrew Baldwin at 10-1. Obelix, who ran a cracker last time for John Thady Gosling at 12s. And then 14-1, bigger the rest. Frankie, he's obviously a big fielded handicap. You've got bigger prices towards the end of the market, but there's horses at the top of the market that will obviously make big appeal for obvious reasons. So who are you going for?
They do, yeah. I'm going to stay at the top of the market. No points for originality here. Perfuse was well backed at the Royal Meeting and ran a decent race. Maybe you could argue hit the front a little too soon and just didn't quite stay the trip against better horses, in my opinion. I know Perfuse did win over a mile and a half previously, but in a lesser race, and I think probably could just cruise for a little bit longer before having to get hard at work. So I think this drop back to 10 furlongs would probably be perfect. As you mentioned, there's one on testing conditions before, and a horse that's going into the Royal Meeting, being well backed, running a decent race, but not winning, and managing to come into another handicap off, I think, the same mark. I feel like it's a little bit of it's a great chance to go and win after not doing so at the Royal Meeting. So yeah, it's pretty boring, but Perfuse does look to have a very strong chance in this.
Yeah, but being boring in the ITV7 doesn't really matter because
No, it doesn't. No.
we're not thinking about pricing. We just need winners on the board, whether it's for the leaderboard or to keep in to win the jackpot. You just need winners. I think you're right. I think Perfuse is the most solid one in the field. But I am looking to
what you found.
I am looking to knock everyone out in the first round on day 3 because I'm taking a bit of a swing at a 40-1 chance. And like we say, the price doesn't really matter, but I think when it comes to the first race on Thursday, after all the rain we've had Wednesday morning throughout on Wednesday, which we think will happen. Obviously, we haven't seen yet. We know how much rain fell this morning. I think it's 6.8 mil, which has turned it soft. If there's supposed to be more, it could be heavy by the end of the day. With all the horses that are going to be running on it, the ground's going to open up for the first day. I think you need a horse that will handle testing conditions. Perfuse, we know, will and is solid at 3-1 at the top of the market. But even being £2 out the handicap, entrancement for David Minussier, like I said, at 40-1, I think has got a really, really big chance of going close here. She loves soft heavy ground. Absolutely loves soft heavy ground. And it's like all she'll go on. It was all she'll run on, and she will get that on Thursday. At the back end of last season at Nottingham, over 8.5 furlongs, she got off the mark for her career, having a first try on soft ground, reveling in the surface, landed a handicap off a mark of 65. Back this season for a 3-year-old campaign. She ran a solid race first time out over 1 mile 2, stepping up in trip, again at soft ground at Nottingham. She raced off a mark of 71 and she only finished just over 2 lengths behind the winner that day, and quite a tight bunch finish. So it was a real nice comeback to build on. Seen twice more since then. Over 1 mile 2 at Goodwood on heavy ground, which is pretty much the course and distance for the race. She got off the mark for the season. She went on to bolt up by 6.5 lengths that day. Absolutely loving the heavy ground. Like I said, the conditions, she took them like a pro and she revelled in them. Last seen at Salisbury on soft ground over 1 mile 2 again. This time racing in a much tougher handicap off a mark of 81. So she's gone up from 65 to 81 in a very short amount of time. She bumped into one, a really talented La Isla Mujeres, who is actually the favourite for the penultimate race at Goodwood on the second day. So it's worth watching out how she gets on, because if she does go on and win, this price could crash. Like I said, Entrancement does race £2 out the handicap here, but getting all the weight in the world of all the rest of the field. Back at a track we know she handles. Soft, heavy conditions is exactly what she loves. I just think, even though she's going into a much hotter contest than she has been running in, I think she'll handle conditions better than most. So, look, she is a big price, and I am taking a swing at one, but I think I've got plenty there to back it up, because I think she'll handle the ground better than most, and I think she could go very, very close for David Minussier. So we'll see how we get on. But it'd be nice, wouldn't it, to have a
clean everyone out.
Yeah, and knock everyone out, and just me be left playing on my own.
There we are. We've almost bookended the market there between us. So.
We haven't we? So, but no, I think Perfuse is solid. Definitely solid. I can see going very well as well. Anyway, we're going to go over to Ireland then for the second race on Thursday's ITV7. And this is the first race we're going to cover from Galway this week. And it's the beginner's chase over 2 miles, 6.5 furlongs. Frankie, who takes your eye in this one? Because I think you're there, aren't you, on Thursday?
I am, yes. So I don't know if I'll be having a bet in this, but I will be trying to find some winners, certainly, on Thursday from Ireland. I like Joya Machan, decent rated hurdler, rated 136 over hurdles, made a good start over fences against some decent rivals actually last time, and looked like winning before stumbling at the last and completely losing momentum. What I like is that this horse has got decent 3 mile hurdling form. I think in these beginner chases, they might throw in 1 or 2 bad jumps, although the horse did jump well over fences last time. There's still potential for some of them to throw in a few bad jumps, maybe lose a bit of momentum. So you've got to be tough. You've got to have a good bit of stamina because they're going 2 miles 6 and over fences. So if you haven't got that stamina over hurdles, I don't think it's going to translate in a beginner's chase around Galway. So I like that 3 mile hurdle form. I like the first start over fences and could have won that first start if it wasn't for one bad jump. And I think comes here with a decent chance.
Yeah, Joe Marchand defo has a big chance here for Paul Nolan. So Argus is the one I've gone for that man, Willie Mullins. Getting off the mark on his second run under rules. At Thurles in a bumper. Then went to Punchestown under a penalty and was beat by a smart horse in Tagman. On his final bumper run at Tipperary in May, he bumped into the Superstar Grade 1 winner, Dream to Share, which is obviously not bad form at all, and was then put away for the season. Returning in December for his hurdles debut, he fell when looking the winner, and I almost thought, are we getting a Stateman vibes here with this horse? When Stateman fell on, but obviously didn't live up to be what Stateman is, but you never know with Mullins, do you? Yeah, he put up 2 seconds when going off at short prices then, but he was stepped up in trip to 3 mile and half a furlong at Cork next time out, and he got off the mark in really decisive fashion. He then made his handicap debut off a mark of 128 when last seen at the Punchestown Festival, and he ran an absolute stormer, came from the back of the field to grab third of 25 in a really competitive event. He's now sent chasing. This is probably what Joe Marchand has on Sir Argos. We don't know how Sir Argos is going to take to the fences, but if you look at Mullins' record in this race, he's won 3 of the last 5 renewals with horses that are coming in either having their first run or second run. So I think Sir Argos will take to chasing. I think chasing is probably going to be the thing they've been waiting for with this horse. Because even though he wasn't a bad hurdling horse, I think chasing will be his game, definitely. So Argos for Willie Mullins in the first at Galway for me. Right then, going back over to Goodwood, for the third race we're going to cover today, and it's the Group 2 Richmond Stakes over 6 furlongs. Probably one of the better races of the day, Frankie, on day 3 at Goodwood. We have Unquestionable at the top of the market at 5-2. Jasser 7-2 for Clive Cox, who has a good record in this race. Van Dijk at 6-1 for Simon Ed Crisford. 8-1 Sketch for Freddie and Martin Mead, and 14-1 Bigger the rest. Who takes the eye?
Yes, good race this. I initially kind of found myself weighing up the Coventry and the Norfolk form almost once removed, with the top 2 of the market. Unquestionable was just beaten by Bacanto Forte, was third in the Coventry, and just Sir put in that good performance at the July Cup meeting, beating Malcolm. Probably didn't run his race actually, but was third in the Norfolk, wasn't it? Or fourth in the Norfolk, maybe second in the Norfolk.
Second, yeah.
Got in the end. Second. So I was kind of because the Ascot form. So I know we've only had one day, but I kind of feel like has held strong a little bit, especially with the sprinters, those that have ran, into the places or the top 5 there or thereabouts have kind of held on to that form since Ascot, even in meetings before Goodwood. But having said all that, I know we're not talking prices, but we are trying to knock a few people out. Sketch, I think, is overpriced. Again, no disrespect to the trainer, but probably because being from a smaller yard and obviously only having the one start. But you go and watch that start, and you've got to watch the races back in these novices. Once he got going, he really, really got going on the Tom marker on that day. And I know it's not as much to go off as a bit of loose form with, Norfolk and Coventry placed horses, but I don't know. I watched that and it did. That performance did really catch my eye. So I'm going to take a chance on Sketch here.
Yeah, 5 lengths winner, and it had a bit of a star factor to it, didn't it?
Yeah, there's just something about the way, I think Tom asked him to quicken and didn't immediately, but then when he did, it was like that, and he was gone. Like you said, 5 clear. So
yeah, sometimes when you watch something back and visually, you're just like, whoa. That was very good. Obviously, we don't know how the form matches up, but we'll see. But yeah, sometimes you just got to go on that gut feeling, haven't you? That you think what I've just seen is actually true, and I actually really do like that. So yeah, no problem. Sketch, Oisin Murphy on board this time around. I am going to stick to a bit more of the Ascot form, and I've gone to unquestionable. Like you said, he didn't actually race at Ascot, but we can sort of know where he is with obviously the third in the Coventry. Made his debut at the Curragh on soft ground when making a really respectable debut. I thought he finished a really good third behind stablemate His Majesty. That was in a listed event. For me, I know it's Aidan O'Brien and he's quite a ballsy trainer anyway, but when you chuck a horse on debut into a listed event, you know they're going to turn out to be a very good horse, don't you? Then dropped into a maiden next time out, having already experience on the field. He improved once more and went on to take the event by 4 lengths. Very impressive. I thought he was going to be seen at Royal Ascot, but obviously River Tiber and the Coventry was their main one and got the job done anyway, so he didn't need to run. So missing Royal Ascot, going into the Group 2 Railway Stakes at the Curragh, last time out over 6 furlongs. It was an absolutely humdinger of a battle, wasn't it, with the Conero Forte? And I actually put up Unquestionable that day, and I thought he got the job done. But it was just like
I backed the winner and thought I was beat.
Yeah, all the way. I think he was winning all the way bar the line, and then on the line he got done. It was a great race, done by a short head. Look, you could have that rematch again and probably have a different result. You never know. I think it's not much between them at all. But the form was upheld there from the Coventry Stakes. And I just think you look through some of these and maybe don't have the soft ground format, but just because they haven't been seen on it yet and we just don't know. But from a lot of the pedigrees, I don't know how they handle it. I think Unquestionable, we know, has run well on soft ground already. A lot of the Irish horses, especially Aidan O'Brien, can run well on soft, heavy ground. So I think Unquestionable, yes, he's at the top of the market, but I think he's solid. And I think he'll improve again from his last run at the Curragh. And I think he's the one to beat in the field. So I'll be putting him up in my ITV7 on Thursday. Right, we're going to go over to Nottingham for the next race we're going to cover. It's the Class 5 handicap over 6 furlongs at 240. Frankie, who are you going for? Probably the lesser of the races we're going to speak about today, but we still need to find the winner in it if we want to win the ITV7.
We do, yeah. I was scratching my head a bit at this, if I'm honest. And I'm just putting my faith in Sir Mark Prescott and Luke Morris. Great team. They do pick up plenty of winners in races like this. Imperial Dream has raced the last 3 times on the all-weather. I'm hoping that after improving on the all-weather, switching back to turf, the last performance was a beaten favourite on turf at Lingfield. Which probably wasn't the best performance, but since then has been improving on the all-weather. So I'm hoping that it's not just a turf issue. Maybe the horse didn't run its race that day and has improved since and should come back and do a better job. So Imperial Dream gets the nod, but yeah, your guess is as good as mine here, James.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky. And this is the thing, when you're looking at, let's say, the good races at Galway and the better races at Goodwood, to then drop down into what, a Class 5 handicap at Nottingham when it's going to be...
Throws you off.
Yeah, when it's going to be probably seriously heavy ground and a lot of these horses aren't rated very highly, it becomes very, very difficult. The one I went for was Impeller for Tim Easterby. He's been in a bit of sparkling form, really, this horse, having bounced back from a dip in form. So he's shown a bit of both, which these Class 5 handicappers, Class 6 handicappers, they do. They show very poor form, and then when they go on a run, it's almost like you've got to stick with them until they do fall off again. And that's what I'm doing here with Impeller. Got back to form in July at Pontefract, finishing in net second over 6 furlongs off a mark of 63. Off the same mark next time out, he got back to winning ways at Carlisle in another handicap over 6 furlongs. And although £4 higher when last seen at Doncaster, he ran another cracker. That was on soft ground, and he only went down by half a length. So I think he could be in the peak of his form at the moment, handling softer conditions, and I just think he could be the one to beat in this if staying to the same level. The only problem is with these handicappers, they seem to fall off very, very quickly. So I hope he hasn't come to the spell where he's been running well over the last 3 races. I hope he can continue that. But with not much to go on in the race, I thought that was probably the most telling form to go off. So we'll see how Impeller gets on at Nottingham. Right, the second and final race we are covering from the Galway Festival on Thursday is the Grade 3 Guinness Open Gate Brewery Chase over 2 mile 2. Frankie, see some familiar faces from last season, most notably Hercule de Soy, who was a nice hurdler last season that's obviously started chasing and done well so far over the bigger obstacles. So I would probably say that Gelding will go off favourites because we're obviously not looking at prices at the moment. And do you think Hercule de Soy is the right favourite?
I do, yeah. That'll be my selection. Jumped well, or has taken well to fences. This will be Hercule de Soy's fourth start over bigger obstacles, and seems to be getting better with each run. And that jumping probably is what's going to, or kind of was the deciding factor for me, because the horse is stepping up slightly in trip, or only by a furlong. Sorry, I thought it was slightly further. I thought it was 2.5. So it's not too much of an issue, but the jumping will make that a lot easier anyway. And as you said, a decent hurdler that's transferred nicely to fences and probably or definitely is still getting better, both that jumping and both just as a maturing horse. So I think probably will be favourite, and I'm hoping is the right favourite because gets the nod from me, Hercule de Soy.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Hercule de Soy. I think it's going to be very, very tough to beat. This Gelding was a really, really nice hurdler actually last season, winning first 2 events at Tipperary and Navan. He then went into the Grade 1 Royal Bond novice hurdle, obviously won by Supreme, novice hurdle winner Marine Nationale. And although he was pulled up, for me, it showed what they thought they had with this horse, because to chuck it into a Grade 1, you obviously think it's very, very good. Given a break off the back of that, went to Fairy House and beat Hunter's Yarn in the Grade 2 Cafe and Sin. Hunter's Yarn, we know, is a very, very good horse. So to beat that over hurdles was another big performance. Like we've mentioned, it's been seen 3 times over fences since, second on debut, but then the last 2 runs have seen a combined distance win of 29 lengths. And you're right, his jumping's got better and better every time he's gone along. Yes, he does step up in grade, but he steps up in grade in this race against horses that he's already beat so far. Solness he's put away, Ballyadam he's put away. And I think they're probably his main dangers here. So yes, he's going up a furlong, but I don't think that's a problem at all. Mullins has also won 3 of the last 6 renewals of this race. So, and I know he's got others in here, but Hercule de Soy does look the best of those. And I think he's going to take all the beating. So, yeah, we're on the same page here. And hopefully he will. I think he will be favouring. I think he'll go and land the odds for favourites as well, favourite backers as well. So, Hercule de Soy in that last race we're covering now. Galway. Right, the penultimate ITV7 race on Thursday from Goodwood on day 3 of the meeting is the Group 3 John Pearce Racing Gordon Stakes over 1 mile for furlongs. And even though a small field goes to post here, Frankie, this looks set to be an absolute cracker. Espionage at the top of the market, 15-8, who I think is the most fascinating runner in the field because we just don't know how good that horse is. Artistic Star at 9-2 for Rafe Beckett. Chess Piece for Simon Crisford at 9-2. Desert Hero, who was a royal winner for the royal family at Royal Ascot, 6-1. Canberra Legend, 13-2, who hasn't been the same since he's won at Newmarket at the start of the season. And Burdett Road, who I think also was a winner at Royal Ascot. A cracking field, even though it's quite small. And I think you could find different cases for a lot of different horses here. So who'd you like?
You could, yes. It's a good small field, isn't it? It's certainly, well, I'd hope will be competitive. I think you probably get a bit of a battle between at least a couple of these because I don't think they're miles away from each other in ability. I'm going to go with Artistic Star for Rob Hornby and Rafe Beckett, a team that is flying at the moment. I think we haven't quite seen the best of this horse yet. Artistic Star made a decent debut, was 7th, I think, in the Derby. 3rd at the Royal Meeting behind King of Steel, we know is a very, very good horse. I kind of hold King of Steel in regarding that top bracket, and wasn't miles away then. Hasn't been seen since Ascot and comes here, I still think, as an improving horse. And with how good the Beckett team's horses are running, you'd hope that any improvement that is there will be seen on a week like this week when they're flying. So Artistic Star and Rob Hornby get my vote.
Yeah, I think Artistic Star is one of the more solid selections in the field because he has shown it at that level. I think he's running the Derby, the way he came from the back of the field to run on really well. And obviously last time in behind King of Steel at Royal Ascot, it was another solid run. The only thing I have with that is he finished behind Continuous. And I think this Espionage is better than Continuous. So for me, like we've mentioned multiple times, we're not talking about price here. I just think Espionage is such a fascinating runner because we just don't know how good this horse is. And we've been waiting a long time this season to see the colt. Seen 3 times as a juvenile, last term. He was second on debut at Galway behind stablemate Alexandropoulos. And I think the Ballydall team thought Alexandropoulos were going to be one of their big derby favourites, if you know what I mean. I know they had August Rodin and they always liked August Rodin, but Alexandropoulos was tipped by many to go on and be either the Irish Derby horse or the Epsom Derby horse. Look, it's never happened. He didn't run well on his first start this season, and I don't know what happened, but it hasn't materialised. But as a juvenile, I think that first performance for Espionage was very good. Dropped back to 7 furlongs, got off the mark for his career, being another decent stablemate at the Curragh. He then finished his juvenile campaign off at St. Cloud in the Group 1 Criterium International, and he was just a head second to Proud and Regal. That was on heavy ground, and that's what we need to see. We need to see form on heavy ground because we think it's going to be like that still, soft heavy on Thursday. Strangely, and I don't know for what reason, I don't know if you know, but he's only been seen once this season. He took a long time to come out. I don't know if he had a niggle. I don't know if he's been late maturing into his 3-year-old season, but I don't know. But he seems set up perfectly for this race because having a run in July at Roscommon when easily landing the listed Lembane Stakes on his first try, 11.5 furlongs, going up massively in trip, he was absolutely brilliant. Like, yes, he was bustled along, but he stayed on perfectly. And for me, showing soft, heavy ground form, showing he stays the distance, and we always know with Aidan O'Brien runners, they're always going to improve after their first run. I just think Espionage, he's really, really solid in comparison to some in the field. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah. He's got a funny form, hasn't he? Because especially last season,
Yeah,
second to Alexandropoulos, beat another of Aidan O'Brien's, and then was second to one of Donica's. But he's basically been running in the mixer with all of the O'Brien horses at the top of the field, and that kind of, in one way, to start with, sort of swayed me in favour. But then I started to think about those other horses, and I don't know how good Proud and Regal is. I know he was slightly hampered in the Irish 2000, but I was thinking they're not Aidan O'Brien's best horses, but I suppose they don't need to be to win a race like this, do they? So yeah, I nearly went with the favourite, but
I just think this Espionage is fascinating, and
yeah, it certainly is an interesting runner. I mean, if you work for Aidan O'Brien, you know a lot more than we do. Because as I said, he's just been racing against his own horses,
that's what I mean.
and then he's been seen once this season, so he could be very good. But yeah, we'll find out, I guess, won't we?
Yeah. It could go the other way. It could definitely go the other way. And Artistic Star has got that proven form behind King of Steel. So Espionage does need to show it. But I just think I liked what I saw last time. And he's going up in grade here against better horses. I think one that's interesting as well is Canberra Legend. I think he can bounce back to form on a bit of soft ground. Like, you could make a case for a lot, but Espionage was the one I went with. But I think it's a fascinating renewal of the race, and I can't wait to watch it. Right then, the final ITV7 race on day 3 of Glorious Goodwood we're going to cover is the big one. It's the Group 1 Nassau Stakes. And this race, I think, is an absolute cracker. Blue Rose Chen at the top of the market, 11-10. Nashwa off the back of a superb performance last time out, 2-1. Al Hussein, who beat Nashwa last time out at 9s. Above the curve at 10s for Joseph O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Carnarvon, who's ran well in the Epsom Oaks this season and also in the Guineas. And then Never Ending Story at 40-1, which actually could be a massive prize because she's not a bad horse in her own right as well. Frankie, another fascinating race. We've got some cracking fillies here that all look they're going to run their race, and a lot of them do handle softer conditions. So who are you going for?
Yeah, I'm sticking with the home team. I'm not siding with the seemingly unstoppable French horse at the top of the market. I love that performance from Nashwa at the July meeting, and she is so good on her day. And I know that had a few people scratching their heads when she's beaten a couple of times this season. And these fillies and mares can throw in some bad performances, and they're probably trickier to get right than colts are. But on her day, with Holly Doll also on her day, they're a great team. She was really, really good last time out, and I think following that up, she's not going to be hard to stop. But if she puts in that performance, she's certainly going to be up there. It's a very, very competitive field. Like you said, the French horse is on a 4 or 5 or 6 timer, I don't know, keeps winning. Soon has beaten Nashwa, but I do think Nashwa at her best and does handle the condition, as do a few of these. It's going to be very, very good.
Yeah, it's a great race, absolutely great race. But I am taking on the English with the French.
You are.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Blue Rose Chen. I really am. And this is why I think Thursday's ITV7 is very tricky, because we've only agreed once, haven't we? All the way
Yeah,
through. You can make a case.
it's a hard day.
Yeah. But anyway, Blue Rose Chen for trainer Christopher Head. This horse is the yards poster girl, really, isn't she? She's been absolutely superb. And I just think she's got everything going for her in the Group 1 on Thursday. A really bright juvenile over in France last term, winning 4 of her 6 starts. All on soft or very soft ground, including a nice Group 3 over a mile at Longchamp. And then at the art meeting, the Group 1, Marcel Boussac. That was by a superb 5 lengths. And that was really when I first watched her and thought, I tell you what, if she continues and improves into next season, she could be very, very good. She's done just that, hasn't she? Back as a 3-year-old this season, she's taken her form to a completely new level and looked better than ever, making a debut on heavy ground over a mile at Longchamp in the Group 3 Prix de la Grotte, winning very well. She then backed that up over the same course and distance next time out in the French 1,000 guineas, and didn't stop there, because she stepped up to 10.5 furlongs at Chantilly in the Group 1 Prix de Diane, and made a mockery of the field again, beating Never Ending Story by 4 lengths that day, and it could have been a lot more. The mile, I think, is what she's perfect at. Don't get me wrong, I think she was very good at over 10.5 furlongs, but I think the mile is her absolute optimum. Yes, Nashwa is respected, and what she did last time out was absolutely brilliant. But I think you just going back to the mile, soft, heavy ground, Blue Rose Chen in the form of her life. They wouldn't bring her over if they didn't have a bang on. I think she's the one to beat, and she obviously is at the top of the market, and I don't think she will be beat, because I really, really do think getting £8 as well off Nashwa, that I think could be one of the biggest differences. So cracking race. I can see the opinion for Nashwa. I can see opinions for others in the race, but I just can't look past Blue Rose Chen, and hopefully she does get the job done to finish off the ITV7 on Thursday. Right, Frankie? That's 3 days done. 2 more to go now. We've obviously seen the first day. We're set to see another cracking day's racing on Wednesday and hopefully Thursday. But thanks for all your selections again. And make sure, everyone, that you are subscribed to the Winners Enclosure channel, because you want to be notified for the last 2 days of the ITV7 shows that will come out over the next few days. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, if you want to get involved in the completely free to enter ITV7 competition on Thursday, use the code TWE ITV7 to join the TWE League with £100 first place cash prize finishing top of the leaderboard. Also, £75,000 on offer on day 3, like it was on day 2. Just check out the T's and C's for more details. But wouldn't it be lovely to win £75,000 on a rainy Thursday at Goodwood?
Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be bad in my pocket.
No, it wouldn't at all. But anyway, all the best whatever you're back in at Galway, at Nottingham and Goodwood on Thursday. And thanks for watching.